The moment is here, you can stop your search. It's Comics by Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. One of the most common complaints I hear from creators. Okay, so we hear lots of complaints from fans, we hear lots of complaints for all kinds of different people. Well, what's one of the biggest complaints about creators toward comics? And there's a lot to choose from. Certainly there's, the classic, hey, I'm told to tell a bold and adventure story, really do something new and dynamic, but they're only giving me 3 issues. And then if that does well, then maybe I'll get another 3 issues. Those two seem in conflict with each other, and they are. There's the hey, I was told one thing and then I got a different thing. That's a classic for sure. But probably the number one complaint, and this is across companies, across it doesn't cut Marvel or DC. It's everywhere. Is the absolutely terrible communication, and it doesn't matter who you are, where you are, what kind of writer you are, all the rest. They all have, by and large, the same complaint, which is I have an incredibly hard time getting in touch with the company, getting in touch with my editor, getting in touch with anyone. And I can't begin to tell you the amount of times that, and by the way, for a lot of you who write into this show, you're like, when is he ever going to get back to me? Yeah, I for a while, by the way, I had creators who would write me, they still do, and say, hey, I'd like to interview. Hey, where are you? Kind of like, hey, a week has gone by. Where are you? And the reality is, where am I is a pretty good question because I'm traveling all over the place. I'm living on a plane half the time, it feels like. So where am I is a pretty, that could be a pretty interesting answer to that question. But what always surprises me is people don't seem to get that angry. Like when I don't respond to somebody for a week or two, nobody seems to be that upset. I'm always like, man, I'm being a dick here. If I were them, I'd be super angry. But then I remember that this is an industry where we train people to really expect absolutely ass communication across the board. So, for example, again, I can't begin to tell you the amount of times that a writer has got in touch with me and said, hey, I did a pitch. They were excited about it. They said, yeah, we're going to do something with this. Yeah, just give me a couple days. We're going to definitely make this happen. I'm excited about your pitch, everything else. And then dead silence for like 2 months, nothing. And the creators are like, have I been ghosted here? Are they not really interested? Whatever. It leaves everyone in this state of, I have no idea what is going on. When, the writer submits a script or pages come in and the editor is supposed to give notes, dead silence. Including things where, I've had several writers write in and go, hey, here's the pages, what are your notes? Curious, what do you think? A couple pieces here I'd kind of like to tweak. And silence, absolute silence. And then like a month will go by and it's like, hey, we got the pages inked. It's like, wait, hang on. What okay, I guess we're there. Like that is really common in this industry. People do not get back to anyone. And again, no matter who you are in comics, I hear that complaint over and over and over again of really bad communication. Nobody's telling me anything. I have no idea where things are sitting. Do I have an active project? Do I not? Hey, I've got a 6-month, commitment on this series, and it's month number 5, and 3 weeks into month number 5, and coming in on month number 6. Am I turning in my final script, or am I getting renewed? Because the editor once upon a time, like 6 months ago, said, hey, if this does well, we'll definitely want to extend it. So are we extending it? How does this issue end? I'm not sure anymore. Is it cliffhanger? Do I keep going? Do I just like, fuck it? And by the way, if you're a fan, you're a customer hearing this, it does explain one aspect of comics, which is why do some of these stories feel like they're, they just kind of end or start abruptly and they seem aimless toward the end. Of like, well, potentially lots of reasons behind that. But one is the writer has no idea what's going on. Like literally no idea if this series is gonna keep going, gotta have a one shot, go whatever. And in a lot of cases, it's really aggravating, and the creators themselves would love to just go off on some of these editors. But when they do, when even they express a tiny bit of frustration, there's like, "Hey, bro, why so angry? I've been very busy. Well, sorry, I don't know." And then these same writers are also looking at Twitter and they're seeing editors write things like, "Fuck, I don't want to get out of bed this morning. I'm just going to eat this pizza in my underwear and cry into the pillow. That's what I'm going to do. I don't know what's," and it makes you insane. It certainly makes you angry because if you snap and you like completely lose your temper, then that editor will just go, "All right, well, we'll move on. No more work for you." And so you have to do this weird, like, I need to maintain being professional. I need to continue to, be as positive as I can be, even though I think this person is completely dicking me around right now and not getting back to me for months and months and months at a time. But it's okay. I'm just gonna take all my sadness, rage, and irritation and put a tiny little ball right in the core of my stomach, and I'm just gonna leave it there. And I'm sure that will be completely fine. Nothing bad can happen. Nothing bad will happen about this. So we'll be all right. We'll be all right. I'm sure this will keep going. I don't know, but I'll tell you, it's even worse than that because there's moments where I've talked to editors and I've said, "Hey, that limited series, that thing you were doing seemed to end kind of abruptly." And the editor's like, "Oh yeah, I got busy. I forgot to renew it." And then the writer got another job. It's like, what? Hold on. You had a comic that was actually doing pretty well in the shop. And then we just let it end because I don't know, we're just busy. We didn't have anything going on. We just got busy. Okay. Sounds great. Sounds what a great story to inspire you about the competence of how comics getting done. Anyway, I tell you, whether it's a writer, and it's often the writer because they're at the front end of this thing, and whether they're submitting a pitch or, I mean, it's even worse where a writer is asked specifically to submit a pitch on something like, "Hey, we'd really like to do a series about Ned Leeds." And just, I don't know why, but we want to do a 6-issue Ned Leeds series where we discover his dad had magic powers and his mom was a Cree. And the writer's like, "Oh my God, this seems like the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard, but I need work. So, okay, I'll pitch on that." And the writer like struggled, like, "How am I supposed to have a Ned Leeds story about a magic dad and a Cree mom?" And, what is Netflix? Does Netflix have any inspiration for me here? No. Okay. I don't know. And they finally sweat it out and come up with a pitch, and they send it, and then they hear nothing for like a year, nothing. And the writer's like, "Well, I didn't want to do that thing anyway, but I do like money." And and then they'll meet up with that editor like at a console, and it's like, "Oh yeah, we're still totally moving forward with that. Yeah, just waiting for the right moment, totally doing that." And the writer in their head's like, "Is this guy just this guy is full of shit right now. There's no way they're actually doing this comic. Like, they just forget about it for a year, waiting for the right moment. What are you talking about? They just did a Marvel Infinity series about a talking shark. Like, there's no way. Like, now they're doing a sequel to the talking shark where the shark has a symbiote attached to it. It's part of the Venom family now. Like, what the ever loving fuck is going on?" Anyway, that is that. If you sometimes people ask me like, "What's the one thing comic creators complain about the most?" It's that. It's absolutely that. And not that it excuses, a creator going off on a fan. That's just taking the bad behavior and, and sending it downstream and just keeping it going, paying the negativity forward, if you will. But you do start to understand why writers lose their minds with this kind of stuff. You totally understand it. Because if you can imagine, you're an up-and-coming writer, you want to do something in comics, but your lifeline, the editor, is not communicating like at all, except you could see him on Twitter wasting like hours and hours of time just doing stupid nonsense shit. They can't get back to you on the proposal they asked for. And then you get some customer like, "Hey Dick, why don't you, why is your writing so bad? Why is your series only end with, why does it end on issue 6? Can't you do an ongoing series, you prick?" And if you're a writer, at some point, yes, you snap. You're not sure what happened, but the room got kind of red, and then you heard this screaming, and then you realized it was you. Thanks for listeing.
But I'm more creep.